What's up everybody, Ryan here from the Bass Shed, and in this video we are going to be checking out the James Brown tune Cold Sweat, the bass player, the legendary Bernard Odum. This tune by James Brown was recorded in May 1967 at King Studios in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was released on the record label King later that year in July 1967 and reached #1 on the R&B charts. This tune by James Brown has an interesting backstory. It was derived from a song he had recorded 5 years earlier titled I Don't Care. Saxophonist Pee Wee Ellis, who co-wrote Cold Sweat with James Brown, claims that it was heavily influenced by Miles Davis and that the horn part on Cold Sweat was directly influenced by the Miles Davis composition So What. This tune was recorded in one take without any overdubs, so what we're hearing is just raw funkiness. So let's dig into Bernard Odum's bass line on the James Brown song Cold Sweat. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about this bass line is where to play it. Using your second finger on the A string at the 5th fret for that D note, you can leave your hand in position for the entirety of this section right there. It starts off with 8th notes on beat 1, goes to the octave, 5th octave, all off beats for the rest of the measure. And then we're going to have a little ghost note there and walk up chromatically from the 3rd of the chord, which is the F sharp, all the way to the 5th of the chord, which is the A, again, all still within the same hand position. And it's that 2-bar figure that's going to repeat for a total of 20 measures to get it all on the D7 chord for the first section of this song. And now let's take a look at the next section of the tune. Alright, so where to play this bass line on the bass? The C is at the 5th fret on the G string. The very next note we're going to play is a B flat. So we can play that with our 4th finger and then our 2nd finger. And then the G will be an open string, and that will buy us just enough time to shift our hand down for the next hand position we'll need for the F7 chord. So then play the G open again, and that buys you just enough time to shift your hand back up, 4th finger at the 5th fret. Then moving into the very last phrase, we're going to have some offbeat hits. Right? So we have chromaticism from the 3rd of the chord up to the 5th of the chord, all offbeat. Then we're going to have a measure of rest followed by another measure of offbeat chromaticism. And then finally, the big hit on beat 2 that we've seen in other James Brown songs and in other James Brown bass lines on the G7 chord, 3rd fret on the E string. So this walk up here is significant to me because it's in the tune, right? It's in everybody's hitting it, but he snuck it into the bass line during the other section. So he pulled kind of what was happening in this tune, put it in the other part of the song for a sense of continuity within the bass line and within the song in general. That walk up, that chromatic walk up from the 3rd to the 5th is some connective tissue that he uses to link the bass lines in the 2 sections. All right, moving through the song, we're going to be back at the section where it hangs out on the D7. This time it's going to be a total of 16 measures long. Then we are into the, what I like to think of as the B section, the section where it alternates between the C7 chord and the F7 chord. That is going to be 14 measures in length again. As we get into the outro of the tune and kind of the D7 vamp, we're going to see Bernard Odum do a little bit more variation. That's not typically part of his style, right? What we've learned from Bernard Odum by going through some different bass lines of his is just this really rock solid consistency. He'll have some little things here and there where he'll grow the line and add more rhythm and stuff like that. It's always very musical, but he's always honoring the part. He's always honoring the part, and I think that's a big takeaway of all these lessons by Bernard Odum. Specifically, his bass line here on Cold Sweat is just really sticking to the part and playing it with a strong sound and a strong rhythmic feel, and just being unrelenting about where you're putting the things in time and the size of the note and all the fundamentals. And going through this bass line and the other ones by Bernard Odum, really focusing on the fundamentals is a big one. All right, if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to The Bass Shed on YouTube. Down below in the descriptions is a link to the free PDF download of the bass transcription for Cold Sweat. There's also a link to my interview with the bass player for James Brown, Fred Thomas. The link down there. Please subscribe to the Bass Shed podcast. And as always, there's more bass lines, bass transcriptions at thebassshed.com. With any questions or comments, maybe just to say hello, shoot me an email at ryan@thebassshed.com, and I will catch you inside the Bass Shed as we continue to learn from the legends.